What if the very fabric of the universe is whispering its secrets to us, a silent echo from the moment everything began? Imagine, for a second, standing in the middle of an empty room, surrounded by nothing but complete silence. But then, you hear it, a faint, almost imperceptible hum. At first, it's nothing more than a distant murmur, barely noticeable. But as you focus, you begin to hear it more clearly. It's coming from everywhere, from every direction, like the universe itself is trying to tell you something. That sound, that hum, isn't just an anomaly, it's the key to understanding the universe's most ancient secrets. And that sound? It's the cosmic microwave background, CMB, the afterglow of the Big Bang, the universe's first memory. You've heard of it before, maybe in a documentary or during a conversation about space. But do you really understand what it means? What if I told you that the CMB holds the answers to questions we've been asking for centuries? The questions about our origins, the future of the universe, and whether there is something beyond our comprehension waiting to be discovered. This hum isn't just background noise. It's the oldest light in the universe, a snapshot of the universe when it was just 380,000 years old, long before stars and galaxies formed. And what it reveals could change everything we know about the cosmos. But here's the thing, there's more to this hum than meets the eye. It's not just a simple trace of history, it's a time capsule of cosmic secrets, a cosmic fingerprint that's been waiting for us to decode. It's the universe's whisper to those brave enough to listen closely enough. And I'm here to tell you that once we decode its message, we'll understand something profound. Something so deep it could forever alter our view of reality. So, let's take this journey together. Let's step into the unknown and unravel the mysteries hidden in the cosmic microwave background. As we venture deeper into the story, it's important to understand that the CMB isn't just some distant curiosity. It's the very foundation of modern cosmology, and understanding it means understanding the universe itself. Every flicker, every tiny fluctuation in the CMB is a clue, a piece of the puzzle. This microwave background radiation is the leftover heat from the Big Bang, a faint signal that has been traveling through space for over 13 billion years, just waiting for us to tune into it. But here's the kicker. This faint glow is not just a relic from the past. It holds the keys to some of the most mind-bending questions about existence, including why the universe is the way it is today. Have you ever wondered why the universe seems so perfectly balanced, why galaxies are so far apart yet seem to follow certain patterns? Or why the cosmos is expanding and what might be pushing it further apart every second? These questions have troubled scientists for generations. And you might be thinking, what could a faint signal from the past possibly have to do with these mysteries? Well, the answer lies in the fact that every detail of the CMB provides insight into the early conditions of the universe, its expansion, and even the forces that shaped it into what we see today. It's like looking at a photograph of a distant past, where every pixel holds a secret. You're probably wondering, how did we even discover the CMB in the first place? Picture this, it's 1964 and two scientists, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, were working with a large antenna in New Jersey. They were trying to detect radio waves, but instead, they kept hearing a constant static noise. They didn't know what it was, but something about it felt wrong. It wasn't just any interference, it was something deeper, something universal. They were hearing the aftershocks of the Big Bang itself. Now, you might be asking yourself, how did this insignificant-sounding static hold such profound meaning? The truth is, the discovery of the CMB was a game-changer. It gave scientists proof of the Big Bang theory, the idea that the universe began from an incredibly hot, dense state and expanded over billions of years to become what it is today. That static? It was the first direct evidence that the Big Bang had really happened. It wasn't just a theory. It was the universe itself saying, I was born in a moment of chaos, and I'm still here. But the story doesn't end there. The discovery of the CMB wasn't the last word. It was just the beginning. For decades, astronomers and physicists have been trying to unlock the deeper meaning hidden in its complex patterns. And that's where you come in. This video will take you on a journey through time and space. revealing how scientists use the CMB to understand the cosmos in ways we could never have imagined before. From the early universe to the mysterious dark matter and dark energy that seem to govern it, the CMB could hold the answers we've been searching for. And while we've learned a lot, there's still so much more to uncover. What exactly do the fluctuations in the CMB tell us about the birth of the universe? How do they point to the existence of dark matter and dark energy? And could there be clues hidden in these patterns that will lead us to the discovery of entirely new phenomena in the universe? Stick with me, and I'll reveal how some of the most cutting-edge research in cosmology is looking to answer these questions. But I'm not just here to give you the facts. I'm here to guide you through this mystery, step by step. If you've ever looked up at the night sky and wondered about the vastness of space, or if you've pondered the possibility of other life forms out there, then this story is for you. Because the cosmic microwave background isn't just a relic of the past, it's the story of the universe itself, a tale of creation, chaos, and possibility. I want you to think about this for a moment. The CMB has been traveling across the universe for billions of years. And in a way, it's bringing the universe's secrets to us, piece by piece. All we need to do is listen, to pay attention to the subtle patterns and the faint whispers it leaves behind. So, as we dive into this topic together, get ready to experience the universe in a way you've never imagined before. We'll explore the science behind the CMB, the groundbreaking discoveries that have been made, and the mind-blowing questions that remain unanswered. And who knows, by the time we reach the end of this video, you might find yourself questioning everything you thought you knew about space, time, and the very nature of reality itself. You won't just be learning about the CMB, you'll be part of the discovery process. Because in the end, the search for knowledge doesn't stop with the scientists. It's something we all share, a pursuit that connects us across time and space. But here's the big question. What does the CMB really reveal about the fate of the universe? Could it hold the key to understanding the mysterious forces that are causing the universe to accelerate, expanding at an ever-increasing rate? Stick around, because the answer could change everything we know. But first, let's take a deeper look into how the CMB was formed and how it's been telling us its story for billions of years. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Cliffhanger, stay tuned for the next part, where we'll reveal how the CMB holds secrets that could lead to the greatest discoveries in modern science. Are we on the verge of unraveling the true origin of the universe? As we continue to peel back the layers of this cosmic enigma, we need to go back in time a bit further, back to the early days of our universe. Picture the moment when the first particles of light, those tiny flickers of energy, were released into the void. It's these very photons, locked in the cosmic microwave background, that hold clues about the earliest moments of creation. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's step back into the present and understand why the search for these cosmic whispers has become so important to us today. The scientific community has long believed that understanding the CMB could help us answer some of the most pressing questions about the universe's origins. But there's an unsettling complexity to it all. While the CMB's discovery brought incredible triumph, it also opened up an entirely new set of mysteries that seem to evade even the sharpest minds in cosmology. The more they uncover, the more questions arise, and the deeper the rabbit hole seems to go. The recent findings, including detailed maps of the CMB from missions like the Planck satellite, have presented us with a strange and paradoxical truth. There are inconsistencies in the data. Areas of the universe seem to be behaving in ways that defy everything we thought we knew. The cosmic microwave background radiation, which was thought to be uniform across space, has shown fluctuations, subtle yet undeniable variations in temperature that scientists can't quite explain. These anomalies are like footprints left behind by some hidden force in the universe, perhaps something far more elusive than we could ever imagine. And here's the catch. Some scientists have started to suspect that these fluctuations may be linked to the mysterious dark energy that's accelerating the expansion of the universe. Others have hinted at the possibility of new dimensions, or even the existence of a multiverse. All of these possibilities seem to be waiting for the right breakthrough to turn them from theory into something tangible, something we can touch, understand, and more importantly, control. But where are the answers hidden? What's lurking in the shadows of this ancient radiation, waiting for us to uncover it? As the data pours in from satellites and telescopes, some strange patterns are beginning to emerge. What was once considered mere noise is starting to look more and more like a message, a signal, if you will, from the dawn of time. Could it be possible that the CMB is more than just an echo of the Big Bang? Could it be some kind of cosmic puzzle, a cryptic series of clues left by the universe itself? With every new observation, scientists are forced to confront a disorienting reality. There are things out there, forces and phenomena, that don't quite fit into the neatly packaged models of the universe that we've relied on for so long. The discovery of the CMB didn't bring clarity. It brought more, and in a way, that's exactly what makes it so fascinating, because with every answer we think we get, another door opens up, leading us deeper into the unknown. But let's be honest, while the science is intriguing, there's something more at play here. The search for answers about the CMB has become almost an obsession for some of the most brilliant minds in astrophysics. They dive into this mystery with an urgency that feels more personal than professional, driven by the desire to not only understand the universe, but to unlock its deepest, darkest secrets. Some are drawn to it out of pure curiosity, wanting to make their mark on history. Others, however, have darker motivations. Some believe that whoever solves the riddle of the CMB will unlock the ultimate power, an understanding of the very forces that govern space, time, and maybe even reality itself. There's a certain danger in pursuing this knowledge too greedily, and some are starting to wonder whether the obsession with the CMB is beginning to consume those involved. Are they seeking the truth, or are they chasing something darker, something more destructive? The deeper the investigation goes, the more questions arise about the motivations behind it all. Is there more to this pursuit than just science, or is something more sinister lurking beneath the surface? The theories about what might be hiding in the fluctuations of the CMB are as varied as they are unsettling. Some have suggested that the anomalies could be the result of something we simply don't have the technology to detect yet, an invisible force or energy that we can't even begin to comprehend. Others speculate that the variations might be the result of interactions between our universe and other universes, creating ripples in the fabric of reality itself. The implications of these theories are staggering. Could there really be a multiverse? And if so, what does that mean for our understanding of existence? Or is there something even more fundamental at play here, something that challenges the very laws of physics as we know them? Some experts believe that these strange fluctuations could point to the existence of dark matter, a mysterious substance that makes up the majority of the universe's mass but has remained undetectable by our current instruments. It's one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in modern physics. But what if it's not just dark matter that's hidden in the CMB? What if there's something else, something far more elusive, waiting to be uncovered? The closer scientists get to unlocking the secrets of the CMB, the more the lines between fact and fiction begin to blur. Is it possible that we're on the verge of discovering something so vast, so mind-boggling, that our entire conception of the universe could be upended in a single moment? The stakes have never been higher, and the race to uncover the truth is growing more intense with every passing day. But here's the chilling part. As much as we want to understand the universe, there's a very real possibility that some things are simply too dangerous to know. What if there are forces at play in the universe that we're not equipped to handle? Forces that have been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves? And what if those forces are already manipulating the very data we're using to uncover the truth? As much as we want to decode the messages hidden in the CMB, we must also ask ourselves, are we ready for what we might find? Or are we opening Pandora's box, unknowingly unleashing something we can never put back? The next part of this story will reveal some shocking revelations about the very people who have dedicated their lives to studying the CMB. But be warned, some of these individuals may not be as trustworthy as they appear. In fact, some may be hiding secrets of their own, secrets that could change everything we thought we knew about the universe. Stay tuned, because the truth is out there, and it's waiting to be uncovered in ways we never imagined. As the investigation into the cosmic microwave background continues to unfold, the once promising journey toward understanding the universe takes an unexpected turn. The deeper the team digs, the more they begin to realize that some answers are not meant to be found, or at least not without consequences. It starts with a strange incident. Late one evening, after hours of analysis and countless calculations, a key piece of evidence suddenly disappears. It wasn't a mistake or an accidental deletion, it was deliberate. A file containing the latest data from the Planck satellite, the one that showed the most significant anomaly in the CMB to date, is gone. The team is left with nothing but empty space where a breakthrough should have been. The security logs show no sign of tampering, and yet everyone knows something isn't right. It's as if someone or something is actively trying to prevent them from uncovering the truth. As the team scrambles to recover the missing file, frustration mounts and suspicions begin to grow. Was it a simple technical glitch, or was there something more sinister at play? Questions. But it's not just the disappearing evidence that starts to cause concern. One evening, after a long day of exhaustive research, Dr. Elizabeth Walker, the lead astrophysicist on the team, receives an anonymous message. The email is short, chilling in its simplicity. Stop digging into the CMB. Some things are better left undisturbed. At first, she dismisses it as a prank, a joke from one of her colleagues. But the more she thinks about it, the more unsettling it becomes. Who would want her to stop investigating?
And why?
It's clear now that this is no ordinary scientific inquiry. There are forces, both within and beyond the scientific community, who are desperately trying to steer her away from the truth.
But why?
What's really at stake here? As Elizabeth digs deeper into the origins of the message, she uncovers a startling revelation, a connection to a hidden past event that had been carefully buried for years. Years ago, before she had even joined the team, there was a scientist, Dr. Jonathan Pierce, who worked on the same project. He had been one of the foremost experts in cosmic radiation, a rising star in the field. But then, just as he was on the verge of a groundbreaking discovery, he vanished without a trace. Official reports suggested that he had suffered a mental breakdown, but Elizabeth doesn't buy it. There's something more to it, something no one has ever spoken about. Could it be that Dr. Pierce had uncovered something he wasn't supposed to? Could his disappearance be connected to the very anomalies they are now investigating? The pieces start to form a puzzle, but Elizabeth can't quite make sense of the image yet. Still, she can't shake the feeling that Dr. Pierce's fate is tied to the mysteries she is now facing. Things take another strange turn when Elizabeth receives an unexpected visit from an old colleague, Dr. Samuel Hayes, a former collaborator who had been quietly working on his own independent research into the CMB. At first, his presence seems like a welcome relief, someone to bounce ideas off of, someone who shares her passion for uncovering the secrets of the universe. But as they talk, Elizabeth begins to notice subtle inconsistencies in his behavior. He seems overly eager to steer the conversation away from certain topics, especially anything related to Dr. Pierce or the missing data. And when she presses him about the recent developments, he becomes uncharacteristically defensive. Why is he so reluctant to discuss certain aspects of the investigation? Is he hiding something? Or is he just genuinely concerned about the dangers of digging too deep? The more Elizabeth tries to peel back the layers of his involvement, the more questions arise. Could Dr. Hayes be working with someone to actively suppress the truth? Or could he be hiding a secret that could change everything they thought they knew about the CMB? As Elizabeth's world grows darker and more complicated, a new, more personal fear begins to take hold. It's one thing to face opposition from anonymous forces, but when those you trust begin to act strangely, it's a different kind of threat altogether. Her relationships with her colleagues start to fracture, and the tension within the team becomes palpable. Who can she trust? And more importantly, how far is she willing to go to uncover the truth? The deeper she digs, the more she feels the weight of an invisible hand pressing down on her, urging her to stop. But Elizabeth is determined. She's willing to risk everything to uncover the secrets that lie hidden within the cosmic microwave background, no matter the cost. And then, just as things seem to reach a boiling point, another shocking event occurs. A fire. It happens late at night in the research facility, and it's no accident. The lab where Elizabeth and her team had been working on the CMB data is severely damaged, the majority of their research equipment destroyed. The fire department can't explain it. There's no clear cause. But to Elizabeth, it feels like an ominous warning. Someone wants her to stop, and they're willing to destroy everything she's worked for in order to ensure she does. But there's one key piece of the puzzle that survives the flames, a piece of data that had been tucked away in a secure folder, data that hadn't been erased or destroyed. It's a clue, and Elizabeth knows it. But now, with everything falling apart around her, she faces an impossible decision. Should she continue her search, risking everything, her career, her safety, and her life, or should she walk away, leaving the mystery of the CMB unsolved forever? The pressure is mounting. The stakes have never been higher. And just when it seems like Elizabeth is about to uncover the truth, a shocking twist turns everything upside down. An unexpected betrayal, someone she thought she could trust. But who is the traitor, and what do they stand to gain from stopping her? The answers are still out of reach, and the only thing Elizabeth knows for sure is that she can't stop now. The truth is closer than ever, but it comes at a cost. And as she prepares for the next step in her journey, one thing is certain. There's no turning back now. The greatest discovery in human history may be just within her grasp, but so are the dangers that could destroy her. What happens next will change everything. As Elizabeth prepares to face the consequences of her decision to push forward with the investigation, another layer of complexity begins to unfold. Just when she thought the situation couldn't get any worse, a new development shakes her to the core. Her younger brother, David, who works in cybersecurity for a government contractor, starts to notice strange anomalies in the digital systems that he monitors. At first, he thinks it's just a technical glitch. His job is riddled with strange occurrences after all, but the more he digs, the more unsettling it becomes. He uncovers traces of unauthorized access to some of the research files Elizabeth had been working on, files that hadn't yet been made public. Someone highly skilled is watching her every move. And the worst part? David finds traces of this same person in his own systems, connected to his work, using methods and tools that should be impossible for someone outside his own team to access. The implications of this discovery are terrifying. It seems that no matter where Elizabeth turns, the shadowy figures following her have also latched onto the people she loves most. In a panic, David reaches out to his sister, warning her that the digital footprint he's found is too clean, too precise. It's like someone has been orchestrating this whole thing from behind the scenes, pulling strings without ever revealing themselves. David's warning, however, comes too late. By the time Elizabeth speaks to him about the newfound evidence, something else has already happened. A strange package arrives at her doorstep, wrapped in brown paper, with no return address. Inside, she finds a USB drive and a cryptic note. The truth is already dead, and now so are you. The message chills her to the bone, but it's not just the ominous words that scare her. It's the fact that whoever sent it knew exactly where she was, knew exactly what she had uncovered, and was willing to escalate the threat. She immediately runs the contents of the USB through her system, and what she finds is enough to shake the very foundation of everything she thought she knew. The data appears to be from a different set of cosmic readings, one that had never been included in the original datasets. And as she sifts through it, she notices something disturbing, a fluctuation, a ripple in the fabric of space-time that matches the exact anomaly she and her team had been investigating. But this data isn't from any recognized satellite or telescope. It's from a source no one has ever heard of before. There's no way to trace its origins, no way to even prove it exists. It's like someone has gone to extreme lengths to plant false evidence, to muddy the waters and cloud the truth. Now, the investigation is in freefall. The lines between reality and deception blur, and Elizabeth can no longer trust what she sees in front of her. Is this new piece of evidence genuine, or is it part of a larger, more elaborate trap set by those who want to keep the truth buried forever? To make matters worse, she's starting to question everyone around her, including her closest allies. Dr. Hayes, Her old colleague, who had seemed so supportive at the beginning, begins to act increasingly distant. The once reliable source of advice now seems to be pulling away from the investigation, avoiding her questions, and offering vague responses that leave Elizabeth with more questions than answers. It's almost as if he's been waiting for the perfect moment to back out. Or worse, he could be part of the conspiracy, someone who has been keeping secrets from her all along, feeding her false leads, manipulating her into chasing after dead ends. Her trust in him starts to unravel, and yet, there are moments where he seems genuine, moments where he shows a flicker of concern that makes her question whether she's reading the situation all wrong. Could he be playing both sides, pretending to help while secretly hindering her progress? Or is he, like Elizabeth, just another pawn caught up in a much larger game? Meanwhile, the pressure on Elizabeth intensifies. She receives a chilling phone call late one night, the voice on the other end distorted and unrecognizable. The message is short but leaves her with a sense of impending doom. You're getting too close. Stop now, or the consequences will be worse than you can imagine. This isn't just another anonymous warning, it's a direct threat, and the weight of it sends a shiver down her spine. Someone knows exactly what she's up to. Someone knows she's unraveling something that was never meant to be uncovered. The fact that they've taken the time to warn her, to remind her of the dangers, only confirms how high the stakes have become. The balance of power has shifted. It's no longer just about the scientific discovery, it's about something far more dangerous, something much bigger than herself. As Elizabeth's mind races, she realizes that all her efforts to uncover the truth have only led her into deeper waters. Every clue she uncovers seems to lead to a dead end. Every step she takes towards the truth is met with even greater resistance. She knows she's on the verge of something monumental, but the path ahead is full of threats she can't fully understand. What if the answers she's seeking are not just hidden? They're deliberately being erased, destroyed by those who have the means and the power to do so. And more terrifyingly, what if she's being watched, not just by those in the shadows, but by people she once trusted, people who have their own agendas? In a moment of desperation, Elizabeth reaches out to her brother David for help. But when he answers the phone, his voice is shaky, his tone unrecognizable. "Elizabeth, I think I'm being followed," he says, before abruptly cutting the call short. She tries to reach him again, but his phone goes straight to voicemail. Panic sets in as she realizes the people behind all of this are now targeting her family. They're not just trying to bury the truth, they're trying to destroy anyone who dares to expose it. In that moment, Elizabeth is faced with an impossible choice. Does she keep pushing forward, risking everything and everyone she loves in the pursuit of answers? Or does she walk away, leaving the questions unanswered, the truth buried forever, and the people she cares about in danger? With no clear path forward and no way of knowing who to trust, Elizabeth feels the weight of the world pressing down on her. The forces at play are too powerful, too dangerous, and yet she can't bring herself to stop. The mystery of the cosmic microwave background has taken on a life of its own, and now it's personal. The weight of the situation crashes down on Elizabeth with full force late one evening when she's alone in her apartment, staring at the scattered files and data that had once held the promise of a breakthrough. She's been on edge all day. Something doesn't feel right, like she's being watched. The air in the room seems too thick, too heavy, as though the walls themselves are closing in on her. She tries to shake the feeling, to focus on the evidence in front of her, but every little sound, every movement in her peripheral vision sends her heart racing. Is it just her nerves, or is someone really out there? The paranoia begins to gnaw at her, and she feels the familiar dread crawl up her spine, the kind of dread she hasn't felt since the very first strange phone call, the one that hinted at danger just a little too strongly. She can't shake the thought that whoever is behind this, whoever has been leaving threats and manipulating her at every turn, is getting closer. Her hands tremble as she scrolls through her computer, looking for anything that might explain what's going on, what's at stake. Then, as if the universe is trying to drive her mad, she hears it, the faintest of knocks at her door. It's soft, almost hesitant, but there's something chilling about it, something that feels off. She hesitates for a moment, the hairs on the back of her neck standing up as she slowly rises from her chair, her mind racing. Who could it be? A neighbor? A late-night delivery? She peeks through the peephole, but there's no one there. Confused, she opens the door just slightly, enough to look out into the hallway, but the corridor is empty. The only thing in sight is a small package left at her doorstep, wrapped in plain brown paper, identical to the one she received earlier. Her heart skips a beat. It's almost as if someone has been anticipating her every move. With a sense of dread tightening in her chest, Elizabeth picks up the package and takes it inside, her hands now ice-cold despite the warmth of the room. She doesn't want to open it, doesn't want to know what's inside, but she knows she has no choice. She rips through the paper, revealing yet another USB drive, but this time, there's no note. Just a single word, written in bold, dark ink on the surface of the drive. Dead. A shiver runs through her, and for a moment, she's paralyzed, unable to move or think. What does it mean? Why does it feel like a countdown, like someone is marking her for something worse than just a warning? Her mind races with 1,000 possibilities, none of them comforting, none of them making sense. The silence in the room becomes suffocating, every corner of the apartment now a potential hiding spot for whoever is orchestrating this madness. She knows she's in deep, but now, she feels the suffocating grip of something more terrifying than mere conspiracy. She feels the cold, palpable hand of fear wrapped around her throat. Unable to ignore the instinctive pull to protect herself, Elizabeth decides to contact David, but as soon as she dials his number, the call goes straight to voicemail. Panic creeps in once again as she leaves a message, her voice shaky, barely holding it together. David, please pick up. Something's happening. Someone is after us. I need you, please call me back. But as she hangs up, her phone screen flickers briefly, showing a strange, distorted image of her own face. It's unsettling, like a glitch, but the longer she stares at it, the more she feels a knot tightening in her stomach. It's not just the phone, it's everything. Every small detail seems wrong. Every sign points toward a deeper, darker conspiracy. The fear is too much to push away, and Elizabeth is left alone in her apartment, the weight of the unknown pressing down on her chest. Then, as the night stretches on and the unease grows unbearable, Elizabeth decides to check the footage from her security camera system. Her heart skips as she scrolls through the footage, desperately trying to find some clue, something that will tell her who is behind all of this. That's when she sees it. The unmistakable shape of a figure standing just outside her window. The person's face is obscured by a hood, but the posture, the movement, everything about it feels deliberate, calculated. Whoever it is knows she's watching. They know she's seen them, and yet they don't retreat into the shadows. They stay there, lingering in the dark, as if daring her to do something, daring her to uncover more. She quickly rewinds, hoping to catch a glimpse of something else, an identifier, a license plate, a movement, but the footage glitches and then the screen goes black. The camera system is offline. Terror takes hold as Elizabeth scrambles to check every other camera in her apartment, but each one is down, all offline, all showing the same black screen. It's as if someone has anticipated her every step, shutting her out, blocking her view of the outside world just when she needs it the most. She's not safe. She's never been safe. The realization hits her like a ton of bricks. Whoever is behind this has been watching her all along, tracking her every move, setting up this elaborate game. And now, they're closing in. There's no way out. Desperately, she grabs her phone to call for help again, but the screen flickers once more, this time displaying a strange message that sends chills down her spine. You're too late. Before she can process what it means, her phone shuts off completely, leaving her in a suffocating silence. It's clear now, she's being hunted, not just by one person, but by a network of individuals whose reach and resources far exceed anything she could have imagined. And she's not alone. The people she trusts, her family, David, everyone is now caught in the web, their fates intertwined with hers. Whoever is pulling the strings doesn't just want her to stop, they want her gone, erased from the equation entirely. And with each passing moment, Elizabeth's world feels smaller and smaller, the walls closing in tighter. As she stares at her phone, the fear in her chest nearly choking her, she hears something from the hallway. The sound of footsteps.
Slow.
Deliberate. Coming closer. It's not her imagination. Someone is here. And they're coming for her. The breath catches in her throat as she realizes that, for the first time, there's no escape. Just when Elizabeth thought she couldn't be more cornered, that's when the unimaginable happens. The footsteps in the hallway stop, but she doesn't hear the door handle turn, doesn't feel the expected intrusion. Instead, she hears a familiar voice, a voice she never thought she'd hear again, not after everything that's transpired. It's David. But there's something different in his tone, something off, something colder. Her heart skips a beat as he speaks through the door, his words deliberate, almost rehearsed. "Elizabeth, open up. We need to talk." Her mind races, the panic setting in all over again. She wants to believe him, wants to think it's the David she's always trusted, the one who helped her navigate the chaos they'd found themselves in. But now, after everything that's happened, every twisted turn, she can't ignore the doubt creeping into her mind. Was this just another step in the game? Had she been played all along? She hesitates, the decision weighing heavily on her shoulders. Finally, in a moment of sheer desperation, she opens the door, her breath caught in her throat, ready for whatever comes next. But what she sees isn't the reassuring face of her partner, the one person she thought would never betray her. No, standing there, framed by the dim light of the hallway, is someone she never expected. Daniel, David's older brother. It doesn't make sense. Daniel was supposed to be out of the country. He'd been gone for years, tangled in a web of business deals that kept him away from the life Elizabeth had known. She hasn't seen him in years, and she'd assumed he was nothing more than a shadow of the past. But here he is, standing before her, his expression unreadable, his eyes not the warm ones she remembered but cold, distant, as though everything she thought she knew had been a lie. And what's worse, there's no sign of David. Her heart races, her mind screaming in confusion. What's going on? Where's David? Why is Daniel here? Why hasn't David called? Everything she thought was real suddenly feels like it's slipping through her fingers, unraveling faster than she can comprehend. Her instincts scream that something isn't right, but her voice falters as she asks, "Where's David?" Daniel's smile, if it can even be called that, doesn't reach his eyes. David? He's not coming, Elizabeth. Not now, not ever. His words hit her like a ton of bricks. It's a gut punch, too much, too fast, and she can barely process it. Her thoughts are spiraling, but before she can respond, Daniel steps forward, his body blocking the doorframe, and with a suddenness that chills her to the core, he says, "You've been chasing the wrong answers, Elizabeth. The truth is much closer than you think." Every muscle in her body tenses, a cold rush of fear flooding her veins. The words echo in her head, but what do they mean? What truth? And why was David kept in the dark about all this? She's already been through so much, already felt the walls of the world closing in on her. But this revelation knocks her off balance in a way she never expected. It feels like the floor has dropped out from under her, and everything she thought she knew is crumbling, piece by piece. Daniel steps into the apartment, and the door closes with an eerie finality. "You've been following breadcrumbs, Elizabeth, thinking they'd lead you somewhere that would make sense. But they don't, do they? You've been looking for answers in the wrong places, digging deeper into a past that's already been sealed." He pauses for a moment, his gaze cold and calculating, like he's seeing through her rather than at her. "You thought it was a threat. You thought someone was after you. But the real danger, the real enemy, is much closer than you ever realized." Elizabeth stands frozen, every instinct in her body telling her to back away, to run, to scream for help, but there's nowhere to run. Her entire world is spinning, the ground beneath her feet suddenly uncertain. What could Daniel possibly mean by this? How could this be the truth? Everything is so tangled, so warped, she can't even trust her own perception of what's happening. The walls feel like they're closing in once again, But this time, it's worse. It's suffocating. "Why are you doing this?" she finally asks, her voice barely a whisper, the terror clawing at her throat. But Daniel just shakes his head, a dark smile playing at the corners of his lips, as if he's savoring every second of her confusion. "You still don't get it, do you? You think this is all some mistake, that you've just stumbled into something you weren't supposed to see. But Elizabeth, the truth is, there's no such thing as coincidence. And everything, every single thing, was set into motion long before you even realized. You were never meant to find the answers. You were always meant to be part of the game." And just like that, the world shifts. The foundation she's built her entire investigation on, the one that seemed like it had solid ground, like it was leading her somewhere, suddenly shatters. If what Daniel is saying is true, if all of this has been orchestrated from the beginning, then nothing about the past weeks makes sense anymore. Every clue, every lead, every step forward she's taken has been part of a much larger plan, one that was designed for her to uncover, but at the cost of losing herself in the process. As her mind reels, she suddenly feels a sharp pain in her chest. It's not physical, but a crushing realization that everything she's known is a lie. There's no more room for doubt. She's been played. And worse, she's been too deep into it to ever escape. Her fingers tremble as she reaches for the small piece of evidence that once felt like her salvation, the USB drive. But before she can even touch it, Daniel steps forward, placing his hand over hers. "You won't need that anymore," he says softly. "The answers are already here." In that moment, everything she thought she understood crumbles. The stakes are higher than ever before, and the mystery that seemed so clear in the beginning is now shrouded in shadows. What she once believed to be the truth, what she thought was the key to unraveling the puzzle, was only a part of the game. And now, as the truth continues to slip away from her grasp, the only thing she can be sure of is that the danger she's facing is far more deadly than she ever imagined. Elizabeth's mind is a whirlwind of confusion and fear as she stands in front of Daniel, her hands clammy against the cold steel of the door frame. The truth, whatever it is, hangs in the air like a thick fog, choking the life out of her ability to think clearly. His words echo through her mind, over and over again. "You were never meant to find the answers. You were always part of the game." She tries to process it all, tries to make sense of the shifting ground beneath her, but it's like trying to hold sand in her hands. It slips away the moment she thinks she has a grip on it. But that isn't the worst part. The worst part is the silence that stretches between them, thick and suffocating. Daniel's gaze never wavers, his eyes cold and detached, like he's watching a piece of entertainment rather than a person's life unraveling before him. The tension between them grows, like an invisible force pulling them further apart, and yet, she can't seem to look away. For the first time, she feels completely alone, like she's standing on the edge of a cliff with no idea how she got there or what will happen if she falls. Every instinct inside her screams to run, to escape whatever twisted game this is, but there's nowhere to go. No safe place left.
Not now.
Her heart is pounding in her chest, and her breath catches in her throat as Daniel takes another step closer, his presence almost suffocating. He places a hand on the small table near the door, leaning in just enough that she can feel the weight of his words before they even leave his mouth. "You don't get it, do you? You still think you have a choice. That you can just walk away from all of this. But you're too deep now. You're already in it, Elizabeth. There's no turning back." Her mind spins with the possibilities. What is he saying? What game has she been playing without even realizing it? But before she can form another question, before she can ask the one thing that's been gnawing at her, the one thing she needs to know to make sense of all this, he interrupts. "You have a choice," he says, his voice suddenly soft, almost like he's trying to convince her of something. "You can take the truth, or you can walk away. But I won't promise you safety if you do. You might not make it out of this alive." This whole thing, Elizabeth, it was never just about the answers. It was about you. It was always about you. Elizabeth feels like the ground is shifting beneath her again, and for a moment, she feels dizzy, like the room is closing in on her. Every part of her wants to fight back, to tell him that she won't let herself be manipulated any longer, that she won't let him control her. But the reality is far worse than she could have imagined. She isn't just being forced into a corner by someone she doesn't know. She's facing a situation where there is no right choice. Not anymore. David? She asks, her voice shaking. Where's David? What's going on? What have you done? Daniel's face hardens at the mention of his brother's name, and for a moment, his icy demeanor cracks just enough for Elizabeth to catch a glimpse of something darker, something far more dangerous. David isn't part of this anymore, he says, his voice low and menacing. He's out of the picture. You never needed him to find the truth. It was always you. All along. It was never about David. She takes a step back, her mind struggling to process everything he's saying. She thought David was the one person she could trust in this mess, the one person who was by her side through all of this. But now, Daniel's words throw everything into question. What has happened to David? Why is he out of the picture? Did he betray her? Was she the only one who didn't know? And then it hits her like a slap to the face. The ultimatum isn't just about choosing between safety and truth. It's about everything she's known, everything she's built her life around, crashing down in front of her. The people she thought she could trust, the answers she believed she was getting closer to, were all part of a bigger lie. The realization burns through her like fire, and she feels the weight of it pressing down on her chest, suffocating her. She's been living in a world of illusions, and now the veil is gone. Tell me the truth, Daniel, she says, her voice quiet but filled with determination. What do you want from me? What is all of this about? Why me? What have I done that makes you think you can control me like this? But Daniel just smiles, a slow, cold smile that sends chills down her spine. You've done nothing, Elizabeth. That's the problem. You were never supposed to know. You were never supposed to get this far. But now you have a choice. You can stop digging. Stop asking questions. And I'll make sure you're safe. No more threats, no more danger. Or you can keep pushing, keep fighting. But the people you trust, the people you care about, they won't be safe. Not from me. And not from what's coming. Her pulse quickens, panic creeping into her veins. The weight of his words presses down on her, like a chain pulling her deeper into the abyss. She has a choice, yes, but neither option is a path she can walk without feeling the consequences. What does it mean to keep pushing? What will it cost her? And can she really trust Daniel when everything he said feels like a trap? Tears sting the corners of her eyes, but she blinks them away, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. She's been through too much, learned too many uncomfortable truths to turn back now. But what if turning back is the only way to protect herself, to protect the few people she has left? Is she willing to lose everything, to sacrifice her own safety for the truth? Or will she take the easy way out and walk away from the lies she's spent so long trying to unravel? The silence between them stretches unbearable. There is no answer, no relief, only the cold weight of the decision hanging over her like a sword ready to fall. Daniel watches her carefully, his eyes unwavering. Time's running out, Elizabeth, he says softly. Make your choice. But remember, you won't have long to decide. Elizabeth's mind is a whirlwind of confusion and fear as she stands in front of Daniel, her hands clammy against the cold steel of the door frame. The truth, whatever it is, hangs in the air like a thick fog, choking the life out of her ability to think clearly. His words echo through her mind, over and over again. You were never meant to find the answers. You were always part of the game. She tries to process it all, tries to make sense of the shifting ground beneath her, but it's like trying to hold sand in her hands. It slips away the moment she thinks she has a grip on it. But that isn't the worst part. The worst part is the silence that stretches between them, thick and suffocating. Daniel's gaze never wavers, his eyes cold and detached, like he's watching a piece of entertainment rather than a person's life unraveling before him. The tension between them grows, like an invisible force pulling them further apart, and yet, she can't seem to look away. For the first time, she feels completely alone, like she's standing on the edge of a cliff with no idea how she got there or what will happen if she falls. Every instinct inside her screams to run, to escape whatever twisted game this is, but there's nowhere to go. No safe place left.
Not now.
Her heart is pounding in her chest, and her breath catches in her throat as Daniel takes another step closer, his presence almost suffocating. He places a hand on the small table near the door, leaning in just enough that she can feel the weight of his words before they even leave his mouth. You don't get it, do you? You still think you have a choice. That you can just walk away from all of this. But you're too deep now. You're already in it, Elizabeth. There's no turning back. Her mind spins with the possibilities. What is he saying? What game has she been playing without even realizing it? But before she can form another question, before she can ask the one thing that's been gnawing at her, the one thing she needs to know to make sense of all this, he interrupts. You have a choice, he says, his voice suddenly soft, almost like he's trying to convince her of something. You can take the truth, or you can walk away. But I won't promise you safety if you do. You might not make it out of this alive. This whole thing, Elizabeth, it was never just about the answers. It was about you. It was always about you. Elizabeth feels like the ground is shifting beneath her again, and for a moment, she feels dizzy, like the room is closing in on her. Every part of her wants to fight back, to tell him that she won't let herself be manipulated any longer, that she won't let him control her. But the reality is far worse than she could have imagined. She isn't just being forced into a corner by someone she doesn't know. She's facing a situation where there is no right choice. Not anymore. David? She asks, her voice shaking. Where's David? What's going on? What have you done? Daniel's face hardens at the mention of his brother's name, and for a moment, his icy demeanor cracks just enough for Elizabeth to catch a glimpse of something darker, something far more dangerous. David isn't part of this anymore, he says, his voice low and menacing. He's out of the picture. You never needed him to find the truth. It was always you. All along. It was never about David. She takes a step back, her mind struggling to process everything he's saying. She thought David was the one person she could trust in this mess, the one person who was by her side through all of this. But now, Daniel's words throw everything into question. What has happened to David? Why is he out of the picture? Did he betray her? Was she the only one who didn't know? And then it hits her like a slap to the face. The ultimatum isn't just about choosing between safety and truth. It's about everything she's known, everything she's built her life around, crashing down in front of her. The people she thought she could trust, the answers she believed she was getting closer to, were all part of a bigger lie. The realization burns through her like fire, and she feels the weight of it pressing down on her chest, suffocating her. She's been living in a world of illusions, and now the veil is gone. Tell me the truth, Daniel, she says, her voice quiet but filled with determination. What do you want from me? What is all of this about? Why me? What have I done that makes you think you can control me like this? But Daniel just smiles, a slow, cold smile that sends chills down her spine. You've done nothing, Elizabeth. That's the problem. You were never supposed to know. You were never supposed to get this far. But now you have a choice. You can stop digging. Stop asking questions. And I'll make sure you're safe. No more threats, no more danger. Or you can keep pushing, keep fighting. But the people you trust, the people you care about, they won't be safe. Not from me. And not from what's coming. Her pulse quickens, panic creeping into her veins. The weight of his words presses down on her, like a chain pulling her deeper into the abyss. She has a choice, yes, but neither option is a path she can walk without feeling the consequences. What does it mean to keep pushing? What will it cost her? And can she really trust Daniel when everything he said feels like a trap? Tears sting the corners of her eyes, but she blinks them away, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her break. She's been through too much, learned too many uncomfortable truths to turn back now. But what if turning back is the only way to protect herself, to protect the few people she has left? Is she willing to lose everything, to sacrifice her own safety, for the truth? Or will she take the easy way out and walk away from the lies she's spent so long trying to unravel? The silence between them stretches, unbearable. There is no answer, no relief, only the cold weight of the decision hanging over her like a sword ready to fall. Daniel watches her carefully, his eyes unwavering. "Time's running out, Elizabeth," he says softly. "Make your choice. But remember, you won't have long to decide." Elizabeth's mind races as the weight of Daniel's words crushes her chest, pushing the air from her lungs. She's caught in the crossfire of a conspiracy that she can barely comprehend, let alone survive. The world she thought she knew is crumbling beneath her, and with every new piece of information, it feels like the ground she's standing on is giving way. She's standing at the edge, and no matter how many times she looks around, she can't see a way out. The only thing she knows for certain is that she's been dragged into something much bigger than herself, something so vast and tangled that even the most powerful players are just pawns in the game. It's a game she never asked to play, but now there's no escaping it. Her thoughts swirl as she looks back at Daniel, his cold eyes reflecting nothing but indifference, like he's already made up his mind. She thought she could outsmart him, that she could somehow find a way to piece together the truth without falling victim to whatever machinations he's orchestrated. But she was wrong. She's been wrong about so much, and the realization hits her like a punch to the gut. The truth is, she's been blind this whole time. The people she thought she could trust, the ones she believed had her back, they've all been playing their part in a much darker scheme. The stakes have never been higher, and now, her every move could determine not just her own fate, but the fates of those she loves. She's barely begun to process the magnitude of what she's learned when her phone buzzes on the table. Her heart stops. She doesn't even have to look at the screen to know what's coming. It's a message. From someone she never expected to hear from again, David. The last time she saw him, he was bleeding, crumpled in the corner of the abandoned warehouse where she'd found him. She thought he was dead. But now, here's the message. It's not over.
Get out now.
They're coming for you. Trust no one. Elizabeth's hands tremble as she rereads the text, her mind spiraling into chaos. She wants to believe it's some kind of sick joke, but the urgency in his words is too real to ignore. She looks up at Daniel, his expression unreadable. Did he know about this? Was he part of whatever is happening? Is he the one who sent the message? Her instincts scream at her to run, to get out of this place, to do whatever it takes to escape the web of lies closing in around her. But she knows she can't leave. Not yet. There's still something she needs to uncover, something she hasn't found. Something about David, about the game they've all been forced to play. Daniel leans in, his voice low and measured, like he's savoring the moment. You don't understand, do you?
This wasn't just about you.
This wasn't even about David. This was always about something bigger. Something that goes beyond your little world, beyond anything you could ever have imagined. There are people involved in this, people who will stop at nothing to make sure the truth stays buried. And you're right in the middle of it. Her pulse spikes at his words. Something bigger. What could be bigger than this? What could be more terrifying than the nightmare she's already been living? Before she can process, her phone buzzes again, this time a call. She doesn't even have to check the number. It's from her best friend, Mia, someone she's always trusted, someone who's been by her side through every twist and turn. But as she answers, she's hit with a cold, sickening realization. Mia's voice is shaky, her breathing ragged, like she's running. Elizabeth, oh God, I don't know how to say this, but the line cuts off, followed by a strange crackling sound. Elizabeth's breath catches in her throat.
Mia?
What's going on? Are you okay? For a second, the only sound on the other end is her friend's labored breathing, then a muffled scream. Elizabeth jumps to her feet, her heart slamming in her chest.
Mia.
Tell me where you are. But before Mia can respond, the call drops, leaving Elizabeth with nothing but the deafening silence and the gnawing terror that something horrible is happening, something that she's somehow connected to. Did you hear that? Daniel asks, his voice dripping with malice. That's the sound of your world falling apart. Mia's not the only one who's been caught in the crossfire. The truth is, everyone you thought you could trust, they've all been playing their part in this. And you? You were always meant to be the final piece. But now it's too late. There's no going back. Elizabeth's mind races as she tries to make sense of what he's saying. How is Mia involved in all of this? What's happening to her friend? And why does Daniel sound so calm? Like he's orchestrated every last detail of this nightmare. What is his connection to the people she's been desperately trying to outrun? She doesn't have the answers, but she knows one thing for sure. She's in way over her head. The phone buzzes once more, and Elizabeth grabs it, her hand shaking as she glances at the screen. This time, it's a video message. She presses play, her stomach twisting in knots as the grainy footage loads. The video opens with a blurry shot of Mia's face, her eyes wide with panic. Elizabeth, they're here. They know everything. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't. The screen flickers, and for a moment, Elizabeth thinks the message is over, but then a new voice cuts through the static, deep and distorted. You're too late, Elizabeth. There's no one left to save you. The video cuts to black. Elizabeth drops the phone, her heart hammering in her chest. She's been played. She's been a pawn in someone else's game all along, and now, the stakes have never been higher. Daniel stands before her, his smirk widening, as if he knows exactly how close she is to losing everything. You should have stayed out of this, he says, his voice dripping with cold satisfaction. You never stood a chance. But now, we'll see how far you're willing to go to uncover the truth. Will you save your friend? Or will you betray everything you believe in? Elizabeth looks at him, her pulse racing. Her world is collapsing around her, and she has no idea who to trust, who's been lying to her, or who's been working behind the scenes to destroy everything she's fought for. But one thing is clear. The endgame is coming, and it's up to her to decide which side of the battle she'll be on. The choices she makes in the coming moments could determine everything, and she doesn't know if she's strong enough to face the consequences. Elizabeth's breath comes in ragged gasps as she faces Daniel, the man who has orchestrated her descent into madness. The tension in the air is palpable, thick with the weight of unspoken truths and betrayal. The world around her feels like it's spinning out of control, the walls closing in with every passing second. She's standing at the edge of the abyss, and there's no turning back. Everything she thought she knew, the people she trusted, the alliances she formed, has all been a lie. And now, she's finally standing face to face with the architect of her nightmare. Daniel's eyes gleam with an unsettling calmness, a predator's gaze that suggests he's already won. His posture is casual, like he's in complete control, and it only makes Elizabeth's heart pound faster. He steps toward her, slow and deliberate, like a lion closing in on its prey. Every muscle in her body screams for her to run, to flee from this man who has twisted her life into a cruel game, but she refuses. This is it, the moment where everything comes to a head. She won't back down now. You think you've uncovered the truth? Daniel's voice is almost mocking, his smile cold and unfeeling. You've been playing checkers while I've been playing chess. You never stood a chance. Elizabeth clenches her fists, trying to steady her shaking hands. The weight of everything that's happened, the lies, the manipulation, the destruction, crashes down on her all at once. But there's something else now, something she didn't expect. A surge of clarity. For the first time, she sees the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. Everything she's been through, all the confusion and fear, it's all been leading to this moment. And it's time to stop being a pawn in this game. I'm not playing your game anymore, she says, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. Tell me what you've done. Tell me what this is all about. Daniel's smirk falters, just for a second, before he leans in closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. It's too late, Elizabeth. You think you can stop this now? You can't even begin to understand the forces at play here. The people who have been pulling the strings, people far more powerful than you or me. They'll never let you walk away from this. They'll never let anyone like you get in the way. Elizabeth's mind races. People more powerful. The words echo in her head like a warning bell, but something about it doesn't sit right. She's been so focused on Daniel, on the conspiracy he's pulled her into, that she missed the bigger picture. She's been trying to expose the truth, but what if the truth is something even darker than she could have imagined? The sudden realization hits her like a punch to the gut. Mia, she whispers. Daniel's expression flickers, just for a moment. a crack in the facade. But he quickly recovers, his smile widening, the malice in his eyes deepening.
Ah, yes. Mia.
You were always so protective of her, weren't you? You never thought she could be a part of this. But she is, Elizabeth. She always has been. You were never the target. She was. Elizabeth recoils, the words ringing in her ears like a death sentence. Mia, the one person she thought she could trust, has been part of this all along. Everything that has happened, the lies, the threats, the betrayals, it was all part of a bigger scheme, one designed to tear Elizabeth apart. Her mind spins as she tries to make sense of it all, but the pieces don't fit. Mia was her friend. She couldn't have been involved in this, could she? The doubt gnaws at her, but something deep inside tells her that Daniel isn't lying. There's no way to outrun the truth now. But before she can process what's just been revealed, a sharp sound cuts through the silence. A gunshot. Elizabeth freezes, her heart skipping a beat. The sharp, metallic scent of blood fills the air, and she turns toward the source of the noise. She sees Mia standing there, just a few feet away, her eyes wide with fear and determination. In her hands, she's holding a gun, the barrel aimed squarely at Daniel. You thought I was a part of this, Mia says, her voice trembling but resolute. But I wasn't. I was trying to stop it. I was trying to protect you. The room feels like it's closing in on her. The tension is unbearable. Everything Elizabeth thought she knew about the people around her is crumbling. Mia, the one person she trusted with her life, has been standing in the shadows, playing a dangerous game of her own.
But why?
What has she been hiding? Mia, no, Daniel says, his voice smooth and calculating, his smile never wavering. You don't have to do this. You don't have to choose sides. But Mia doesn't flinch. She doesn't lower the gun. I've already made my choice, she says. You're not getting away with this. Elizabeth watches, heart in her throat, as the two figures stand locked in a tense standoff. For a split second, time seems to slow. The room feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for the next move. Then, in an instant, everything changes. With a swift motion, Mia lowers the gun, and before anyone can react, she fires. But not at Daniel. The bullet shatters a nearby mirror, and in the same moment, Daniel lunges toward her, knocking her off balance. Everything happens in a blur. Chaos erupts as Daniel grabs Mia, wrestling her to the ground. Elizabeth's mind races as she tries to comprehend what's unfolding before her. She doesn't know who's playing who anymore, doesn't know who she can trust, and the tension in the air is almost unbearable. As Daniel and Mia struggle, a sharp voice rings out from behind them, and for the first time, Elizabeth realizes she's not alone. The door crashes open, and several men in dark suits flood into the room. They're too fast, too many. Elizabeth's heart sinks as she watches the scene unfold in front of her, her mind struggling to catch up with the rapid succession of events. Daniel's face twists into a grin as the men grab him, pulling him away from Mia. This isn't over, he sneers. You think you've won? This is just the beginning. Elizabeth stares at him, her heart racing. Everything she's been through, the pain, the loss, the confusion, it's all been leading to this. But as the men pull Daniel away, she realizes with a cold, sinking feeling that the story isn't over. Far from it. What she's uncovered, what she's fought for, is just one small part of a much bigger puzzle. And as the door slams shut behind them, she's left standing in the room, heart pounding, knowing that the game has only just begun. Weeks had passed since the events that shattered Elizabeth's world. The investigation into Daniel and the conspiracy had taken a new turn, one that, while not bringing immediate closure, offered a faint light at the end of an incredibly dark tunnel. The authorities had combed through everything, the evidence, the hidden connections, the secrets that had been buried for far too long. Daniel was in custody, and though the layers of the conspiracy were still being unraveled, there was a sense that justice might be within reach. But as Elizabeth sat in the quiet of her apartment, the weight of everything that had happened pressed down on her shoulders, an unrelenting reminder of the price she had paid. The faces of the people she had trusted, Mia, Daniel, Even the unknown figures who had been pulling the strings from the shadows still haunted her dreams. Yet, despite the lingering doubts and the unresolved questions, there was a strange sense of peace. She had confronted the darkest corners of her life and had come out on the other side, battered but not broken. As the days went on, Elizabeth started to rebuild her life. She took the time to heal, to process, and to accept that there were things beyond her control. She would never forget what had happened, and the scars would never fully fade, but she had survived, and that in itself was a victory. But then, just as the dust began to settle, a letter arrived. No return address, no indication of who it was from. Her heart raced as she opened it, the cold, crisp paper feeling like it might slip from her fingers. Inside was a single line, written in an elegant hand. "You've only scratched the surface." The words echoed in her mind, and for the first time in weeks, the sense of peace she had slowly built started to slip away. She had thought she was done, that the nightmare was finally over, but now she realized that everything had just been the beginning. There was more to this story, more to uncover, and though she didn't know what it was, she could feel it in her bones. The web of deception, the forces behind it all, were still out there, watching, waiting. And once again, Elizabeth was standing at the edge of the unknown, ready to dive into the depths, no matter the cost. As she stared at the letter, the weight of the words sinking in, she couldn't help but wonder if she had made a terrible mistake. Had she truly uncovered the truth, or had she just become part of an even larger game? What was the cost of knowing too much? The question lingered in the air like a shadow, refusing to fade. And as the final scene fades to black, Elizabeth's reflection in the window stares back at her alone, but resolute, knowing that the answers she sought were still out there, waiting to be found. The story was far from over, and she had no choice but to continue down the path she had started, no matter where it led. Because in the end, the truth was the only thing that could set her free, even if it cost her everything. The lingering question remained: was it worth it?